Hey, imagine being transported back in time right in the middle of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm at Mordecai House and Gardens. What a gorgeous place. We're gonna meet up with Josh Ingersoll. He's gonna give us a little tour so you can find out what you and your family can do maybe this weekend. Come and check it out. Let's go. Thank you for being with me today. I'm with Josh Ingersoll, Director of, man, it's a long title.
It's the Director of Historic Sites for the City of Raleigh.
Wow.
Yep.
What an amazing city, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. It's my hometown, so being a part of kind of teaching people about its history is one of the things I really enjoy being out here.
And, you know, I think there's a lot of people who don't even know this little patch exists, but it's so awesome.
One of the things, we hear all the time is, oh, I didn't know you were here, or I've never been out here. I've seen the giant yellow house on the street, but never been there.
Wow.
I find a lot of people don't see what's in their own hometown till they've got family visiting from out of town or looking for something to do on a Saturday.
Yeah. So we're on about what, 2 some acres?
It's about 2.5 acres.
Okay.
So it's a small park right here, pretty close to downtown Raleigh.
So what's the history behind this house? It's called the Mordecai House.
Yes. So this large yellow house is the Mordecai House. Now it is the oldest home in Raleigh in its original foundation. The first part of the house was built back in 1785. It's actually older than the city of Raleigh itself.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Now I will tell you, it was not as large as it is now. Originally it was only 2 rooms downstairs with a half-story upstairs. And they had about 10 people living there at the time.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't until the 1820s when they added on this front section of the house and really turned it into the grand home of Raleigh that it is today.
What was their background?
So the person who first lived in the house, his name was Henry Lane. Now, local history-wise, his father, Joel Lane, is considered to be the father of Raleigh. He's who first sold the land to start the city. So he helped build the first part of the house for his son Henry as a wedding gift. Now, Henry was just a plantation owner. He had a large farm around here, about 1,000 acres of land, with about 12 enslaved people working here.
Wow.
And then his oldest daughter married Moses Mordecai, who the house is named after. Now, Moses was a lawyer who just moved to the town, married into the Lane family, and it's really descended from him that we had 5 generations of Mordecais living here from 1785 all the way up until the 1960s. Yeah.
So we got this big house, but another famous house here.
Right. So in the 1970s, when the city of Raleigh was turning it into a historic park, they kind of used this as a gathering place for all the historic buildings they owned in downtown Raleigh. And our most famous one is this little gray building down there.
Right.
Now that there is the birthplace of President Andrew Johnson.
Looks kind of like a tool shed.
Yeah, it's very small. What that was a kitchen that was attached to a tavern in downtown Raleigh. Andrew Johnson's mom worked in the tavern. She was kind of like a cook and seamstress. Think of those like the early hotels in the early 1800s.
Right.
And so his mother and family lived upstairs, and then downstairs there's a large hearth where they do a lot of the cooking for the tavern. So he really came from very humble beginnings here in Raleigh, and he was born half a block away from the state capitol.
Oh, wow.
Grew up in Raleigh, though he ended up in Tennessee before becoming Abraham Lincoln's vice president during one of the most contentious parts of our country's history, the Civil War, before becoming president after Abraham Lincoln unfortunately was assassinated.
Yeah, amazing. Right here in Raleigh.
Right here in Raleigh. He's the only president we know for sure was born here in North Carolina. Some arguing over a couple of the other presidents that we have statues of.
We got to stick with what we know.
That's right.
How about if we go in and take a look at the house?
Absolutely.
Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Let's go. Come in. We'll be right back.
Loving Life with Dr. Weir.
Okay, so we're in the house.
Right. So this room here is the parlor. So this is very much the public space. So anyone visiting the Mordecays, this is the room they take them in. You can tell it's kind of very cushy, good places to sit. Get some nice music from the square piano, which is from the mid-1800s.
Wow.
And a lot of things are just the entertaining space. You know, back in the 1800s, with no hotels, houses like this is where all the visiting relatives and anyone traveling through the city would stay in buildings like this one.
Really? So, and here's my confession of the day.
Sure.
Mordecai. That's what I thought it was.
Well, it looks like that.
Yeah.
And basically, anywhere else in the United States, or probably world you'll go, that's how it's pronounced. The Mordecays actually changed the pronunciation of their name in the early 1800s. We're not sure an exact reason why, but Moses Mordecai, at some point when he moved to Raleigh and married into the Lane family, changed pronunciation from Mordecai to Mordecai. And the Mordecays that still live in Raleigh today still pronounce it that same way.
Really?
So this is the Mordecai house in the Mordecai neighborhood on Mordecai Drive right over there.
Man.
Everywhere else it's Mordecai, and here we just say it a little differently.
Little special part of the world.
That's right.
So we're in the parlor. We've got a dining room
Right?
with original china that was here.
So that is the original Canton china from Canton, China. Some of the earliest china that was brought here to the United States. As you look at it, you'll see it's very similar to blue willow china, which is much more common and well known. This predates blue willow. It's kind of what the English copied to make blue willow china.
Yeah. And then kitchen, I would assume, in here.
So here in the 1800s and late 1700s, they had an exterior kitchen, really due to the heat.
Yeah.
It gets hot here in
That
Raleigh.
makes sense.
You really wanted your kitchen to be outside the house, just because you don't want a big hearth going where everyone's trying to sit and be comfortable. So it wasn't until the early 1900s when they moved the kitchen into the house.
Wow. And then there's a really cool garden out back.
So one of the great things we've had here at Mordecai is we had a family member named Ellen Mordecai who wrote a memoir of her time here. And one of the things that she wrote a lot about is her garden. So we call it the Ellen Mordecai Garden, and we grow a lot of things she talked about in her memoir, Gleanings from Long Ago. So we have all heirloom varieties of plants out there, from corn, tomatoes, okra, all the good southern veggies that you like to have with your meals. And everything we grow, we collect and just kind of give out to the community.
Wow.
So it's one of our ways of just being a part of, I guess, their local grocery store. Stop by if you want a zucchini sometime.
Just grab it.
That's right. It'll be on a little bench. And one of the most interesting pieces in the house here is our chandelier that's in the parlor. Originally, it was a gasolier. So you'll see 4 little keys on it that they would turn to let the gas flow through and light it up like a candle.
Wow.
Eventually, it was converted to electricity. And if you look even closer, you'll see acorns and oak leaves on there.
See 'em.
So they made that to kind of represent the city of Raleigh and its namesake, because it's been the city of oaks for several hundred years.
How cool is that? There's a bunch of stuff here. It's fun to discover. How cool is that? So let's check it out. Let's see what's up. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back. Hey, I'm Dr. Tim Weir. I host the television show Loving Life. It's all about cooking and eating and traveling and actually hanging around people who simply love life to its fullest. So make sure that you keep in contact Join us for Loving Life.